Next question. With the threat of termination of my job, I am being asked to write a statement detailing the religious basis for my vaccine objection, the religious principles that guide my objection, and the religious basis that prohibits the COVID-19 vaccination. I feel a burden for this statement to also be a testimony of the character of God. I have recovered from COVID and with natural immunity object to the unnecessary risk posed by the vaccine, however small it may turn out to be. I wish to share my beliefs that God's law is the authority in my life, that health choices are spiritual choices, and about the detrimental effects of acting against conscience. Could you briefly explain how you might respond to such a request? Thank you for your ministry. So I also want to give you, or I will tell you my thoughts, but I want to give you a resource first. Go to website truthforhealth.org, truthforhealth.org, and at that website they have an actual section with many resources to help craft and develop these religious objection letters, and so you can get maybe the right legal language or the way to frame it properly for the various organizations you might need to submit that to. So I would tell you to go there. Regarding my own thoughts on this, I would start with the idea that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. We are to present ourselves as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. You can quote that out of Romans chapter 12. And that you have a lifelong pattern of making healthy decisions, whatever those patterns are for you. You don't drink, you don't smoke, etc. In fact, you can bring those as examples. I don't put tobacco into my body. I don't use illegal drugs into my body. I don't take unnecessary medications. I don't take pork into my body. Okay, my body is a temple, and I've lived a life of keeping my body healthy and clean. And I am not persuaded that this actually enhances my health. In fact, because I'm COVID recovered, the data would suggest that this has the potential to harm my health, and my health is important for my ability to carry out my spiritual service and honor God with my spirit temple. In the same way, you would also maintain your sexual purity. This is part of your spirit temple. All of these things you can identify as the ways that you've practiced maintaining your body as a temple for the Holy Spirit. By the way, if you don't have a long history of that, and you've been recently converted to that, that's part of the Christian journey. I was living a reprobate life. I've given my heart to Christ recently. Now these are the principles I live by. Okay? They say, have you ever taken any vaccines prior to this? You can also say, yes, and I wasn't fully informed about the potential benefits and risks, but on this one I've done more research and I'm converted or convinced in my mind that this one is not healthy for me. So that's all part of it as well, and that's a righteous spiritual position to take. Additionally, violating one's conscience leads to increased sense of guilt, which activates amygdala, activating stress cascades in your body, undermines health. So it's damaging to you in that way as well to go against your conscience. So those are the kinds of thoughts I would share. Yes?
Tim, I have a question about, you made an allusion to organized Adventist healthcare as perhaps falling into some kind of apostate relationship by accepting these mandates. And we have 5 Adventist health systems in the United States. I was the corporate chief medical officer of the largest one for 17 years. If you were the CEO of Advent Health and this mandate came down from the federal government, what would you do?
Thank you for that question. What an opportunity for the entire Adventist organization, healthcare, churches, schools worldwide to take a public stance to say no to mandates. Every institution publicly, actively say no. Use every resource in the systems and nations that you're at, lawyers, whatever. No, we will not comply to this. And what would have happened worldwide if the Worldwide Adventist Church publicly, actively started a promotion campaign, billboards, Adventist Church says no, everywhere? The whole world would have gone, why? Who are these people? Why? And the whole world, and we would have had an opportunity to give the 3 angels' message about the principles of truth presented in love. We're not telling people not to get the vaccine. We're telling people we can't support coercing others to do it. So we won't oppose people getting the vaccine. We'd never do that. But we will absolutely stand up for the principles of religious liberty. What an opportunity. The whole world. Understand, this issue alone, essentially every human being on planet Earth has been faced with this decision. We had an opportunity. And instead of using the opportunity to bring the Advent message before the entire world, we've been complicit with practicing the methods of coercion, firing our own employees. I can't tell, emails that I get like this one from people working in Adventist hospitals being threatened with termination or being terminated. Even if they're COVID recovered, it's not about health care. It's not about actually being healthy, as I've already given you the data. Why would they do it then? They're doing it for money. They're doing it to keep the doors open. The institution is more important than the people that they claim to serve. And they will justify it. You were a corporate. What would you have said? What would your counselors have told you if you took as a corporate head the stance, we won't comply? Wouldn't you have had all of your risk managers telling you, well, if one person can say because you didn't mandate the vaccine, you didn't follow the CDC guidelines, you're opening up huge liability to be sued? You know that's what had happened.
Yeah. There's another side of the coin, though. The mission of Advent Health is to extend the healing ministry of Christ, and if you're shut out of the Medicare and Medicaid program, I look around this room, there's obviously some Medicare recipients in here, including myself, and suddenly you couldn't get health care from your local physicians in your local hospital because they've been kicked out of the Medicare program.
That would have never happened. That's a false front. If the Adventist healthcare system in Florida would have stood up as an organization and said to CMS, we will not comply, shut us down, what happens to healthcare in Florida? How much of healthcare is delivered by the Adventist system in Florida?
Huge money.
And what would have happened to that state if they would have done, there'd have been such an outcry, they would have never allowed it. They would have backed off, just like the airlines backed off when the pilot said it. It would never happen. It's a false front. It's a false and empty threat. And the leadership of the church did not have the faith in the Lord to stand up and say, we will not comply with these ungodly methods. We won't do it. They would, and by the way, even if they would have tried, it would have been held up in the courts with that large of a system and had gone right up to the Supreme Court, and there would have been a ruling on that before it was ever shut down. So they just complied without ever even doing battle. They could have at least battled it all the way and at least got the judicial ruling before they complied. They didn't do that.
And what kills me is they're firing the heroes of last year.
That's right.
Who weren't vaccinated then. They aren't vaccinated now, but they battled all the way through COVID unvaccinated, and now they're being fired this year.
So as a person who believes in the three angels' message, the end time issues, I saw this as a great opportunity to take the health message, the principles of liberty, the principles of what we stand for, to the world by making a stand on this issue. Truly, I can't imagine what could have drawn more attention to our mission and method and end time message than taking a stand on this issue as an organization.
Kind of winds back around to the law lens that people look at things through, doesn't it?
Well, it's so much more powerful. Individual Adventists can take the stand, but we're just individuals. We're just individuals. And many individuals, I've got story after story, beautiful stories of individuals making stands all across this world, losing their job, God providing, deliverance, giving witnesses, other people coming to understand these principles, individual stories. But nothing has called the world's attention to it like that could have. I just see it as a great opportunity. That's what I would have advocated for. Same thing in Chattanooga, the hospitals in Chattanooga. If the hospitals in Chattanooga together said no to CMS, they're not going to shut the hospitals in Chattanooga down. It's just not going to happen. There'd be no health care delivery for the people of the state of Tennessee. It just wouldn't happen. It's a false threat.